arms up. I think Klingen gets like tied up in Edie's arm and like kind of like falls over and like no calls. And I was like, all right, I like the way this game is going to be dictated in the front court. And so it ended up not being a game. I mean, that's kind of how UConn has played this season. They're up 6 at half, and you're going, okay, all right, this is going to be a good game. And that 6-point lead they didn't get until that last minute in the first half. I mean, for most of that first half, it was really back and forth. So they lead by 6 at the half, come out in the second half, and it is all Huskies. And they only win by They win by 15 points. And it didn't even feel like it was that close at the end. I mean, it felt like a 20, 30-point game towards the end. That's just how they dictated the pace, dictated pretty much everything in the second half. So I'm happy for Dan Hurley. I honestly, and I was talking to some of my buddies. I went over to a friend's house last night, and we were watching it, and they're all Memphis fans. And Zach, I don't know about you. Kind of a sidebar here before I get to what I was actually going to say. I have 2 friends. I love them with all my heart. They're great people. They're fun to hang out with. But one of them I went to the NCAA tournament games that were here in Memphis with. And the whole time we get in there, and he goes, man, that should be us. That should be Memphis out there. Memphis beat Clemson earlier this season. Memphis beat Texas A&M this season. That should have been us. And literally said it like 15 times. I was like, brother, stop. Like, I can't listen to that all night. And so last night, both of them him and another friend that is the exact same, were both in the same room with each other last night, and the whole first half of the game.
I have a feeling where this is going to go.
Oh, maybe. They were going, oh, man. UConn was once in the American. Go, yeah, I know. And look where they're at now. I mean, back-to-back national championships. Are you serious? I mean, imagine if Memphis could do something like that. I mean, Memphis should be in the same position. Shut up. What are you talking about? So I had to deal with that last night. But with that being said, I have heard a lot of mixed feelings, mixed responses on Dan Hurley. What do you think of Dan Hurley? Like, in terms of a coach or would you root for Dan Hurley? Because I've gotten both answers from mainly Tiger fans, because some Tiger fans are like, no, I remember when he was here, and I just thought he was really arrogant, and I thought he was really hot-headed. Not a Dan Hurley fan.
No, I like Dan Hurley.
I love Dan Hurley.
I like him. I think that his arrogance is what drives his players. Mm-hmm. It's not so much what's for show, and I think a lot of people kind of get caught up because it's like, oh, like, just look at him. He just he just all smug in the game.
He's just all sitting over there.
He just like the look on his face. It's like, but they take on the personality of the coach. Mm-hmm. The players do. Yeah. And that's the reason why they got 2 national championships out of it, because the personality of the coach is, I would say he's high intense. That's probably an understatement.
Right.
High intense, but very detail oriented. Mm-hmm. And you see it out on the floor. Everything that they're doing, it's very precise.
Right.
Accurate. And even when they mess up, you see him getting on them, I know he got on Cam Spencer a couple of times, because he's like, he grabbing his head like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're like this high energy, this high energy guy,
right,
like all up in your face about it. But no, like, you need those type of guys. Not every coach is this personality, and I get it. Like, sure, you don't. Some programs don't want that type of coach, but when you start to see a track record, Bryant. And everybody loves a good track record.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody loves a good Carfax.
Show me the Carfax.
I'm saying, like, when you start to look at the track record, you got to look at what he's doing right.
Yep.
And what he's doing right is he's getting those guys to buy in. He's getting those guys to follow the game plan. Mm-hmm. And that's hard in college basketball, considering the fact that not only they're thinking that they're the best player on the floor, but also you added NIL to the factor.
Yep.
So But no, Hurley has always been a good coach. There's never been a doubt. Like arrogance, okay, it is what it is with it. Like everybody got their own personality.
I'll be honest. I think Dan Hurley's hilarious. Like I think he is one of the funniest coaches I've ever. And he's not even trying to be funny. It's just the things he does on the sidelines and the things he does talking to reporters is just so. I don't want to call it ridiculous, but it's just so funny because, like, I remember, what was it? A couple weeks ago, I think it was after his round of 32 game, and he's talking to Matt Norlander from CBS Sports, who is one of the reporters for, CBS Sports. And so he was, they were interviewing him, and he goes, Coach, I've just been told that UConn will play the first game of the night next Thursday when y'all take on whoever they ended up playing. What do you think about playing the early game, kind of kicking off the week? It'll be the first game of the Sweet 16. How do you feel to be kicking off the Sweet 16? And Dan Hurley is already, before Matt Norlander even gets his question out, he's already like stammering. Like he like you can see him like physically like almost shaking because he's ready to like pounce on this question. And he just completely goes on this rant of, we've been disrespected all season. People don't like us. People don't think, much of us. They know we're so good. And so they're giving us the toughest task. I mean, you saw our region and the teams that they wanted us to play, and we come out there and we beat those first two teams. And now they say, oh, look at them. They're playing so hard. They're playing so good. They're going to give us the first game of the night and make it difficult for our guys. It's like, Dan, calm down. I mean, first off, I think his first games were in like Boston or something. I think Sweet 16 games were, or maybe they were in Brooklyn. The second Sweet 16 games were in like Boston. It was one of the two. So they were like very close to Connecticut. And then like last night, just watching him on the sidelines, I mean, like there'd be calls that like he's up by like 10 and there'd be calls and he is freaking out like he's down 10 and needs a comeback. And these calls are just atrocious. He pushed, I think it was Cam Spencer. Cam Spencer's like setting up possession and he just like steps out and pushes him.
I loved it. I love that.
Hilarious. And then I swear up and down that he finally gets in all the walk-ons on the court. Hey, there's like 20 seconds left in this game. Get out there, get in the stat book. Say you've played a minute. And his son is dribbling out the clock. And he's standing right there next to Dan. And I promise you, Dan is yelling at him to shoot the ball. Shoot it. Shoot it. Shoot it. The clock's running down. The shot clock's running out. Shoot the ball. Shoot the ball. Shoot the ball. And his son's like, I'm not going to shoot the ball, Dad. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. And so I think he's hilarious. He's so funny. But then he'll also say like things that are like really good. Like, Zach, we were doing John's show last week. And I'd stepped outside in the hallway, and we've got a TV out there, and he was on the Pat McAfee show. And he had this, like, really strong answer on NIL and transfer portal and, like, all these things. I mean, like, and obviously you look at his family. I mean, a basketball family, he's an extremely smart dude when it comes to basketball. And I think he's great for the game. I think he's awesome. I'm glad he won back-to-back national championships. And I'm sure that's not a popular opinion. I don't care. It was a fun game. But, of course, after the game, when he was in the press conference, 30 minutes, 45 minutes after his team just cut down the nets, he is, and I get it, it's their job as journalists to ask these questions. But, asked only, an hour after the national championship game if he would consider taking the Kentucky job and if he had heard that his name was up there. We had Jay Wright before the game being asked on television during the pregame show. I guess he wasn't asked. I think he just kind of took the initiative to go out there and say that he does not want the Kentucky job, which, shocker. And then Nate Oates put out a statement last night, like right before the game started, saying that he was also not interested in the Kentucky job. So it's going to be interesting to see what Kentucky does. But I did think it was funny after the game. Dan Hurley, when asked about the Kentucky job, basically said, "Go ask my wife and see what she thinks about the Kentucky job." And then went on to say he had to force her to go to Rhode Island when he was the coach of Rhode Island, and then had to force her to go to Connecticut, which was closer to New Jersey, so she was a little bit happier, and said that he's just now starting to make money and he can't afford a divorce. And so I think that's your answer. I don't believe Dan Hurley's going to take the Kentucky job. Maybe, I don't know. But that game last night, it was fun. It was late start. 8:20 is late, but we do it every year. What jumped out to you in that game last night, Zach?
UConn's defense on the perimeter.
Yeah.
They're physical. They completely cut off. Feels like every single driving lane Purdue was trying to. The Purdue guards were trying to get into the paint. It was just one thing after another. They just cut it off. Either they try to get it down low to Zach, and obviously Zach, being the beast that he is,
sure.
he's gonna get his points.
Well, it was incredible. He finished what did he finish with last night? He finished with 37 points.
Yeah.
And I promise you, if you had told me before they said it after the game that he finished with 37 points, I would have said you're lying, because it did not feel like he finished with 37 points. I mean, it's a very quiet, very smooth 37.
Yeah, and that was the funny thing, because when I was watching it yesterday, I was like, yeah, it doesn't like what you said. It doesn't feel like he was getting his points, but I mean that's just a credit to Samson Johnson and Donovan Clingan for making him work
Absolutely
for his shots, because you saw it all season long with Purdue, and that's the thing. And here's the thing with Purdue. Overall, I think they're a good team.
Sure.
Back-to-back 1 seeds is hard to do.
Very hard.
And they kept the continuity of the team from last year into this year. Obviously, made some internal improvements and getting some help from the outside. But the question with Purdue always came around: can they get enough offensive shooting around Zach Edey? Can they get enough offensive firepower around Zach Edey? Zach Edey, he's going to dominate the paint. He's going to block every shot. He's possibly going to grab every rebound that's in his vicinity. But the biggest thing is, on the outside, can you knock down shots to open up the lanes? Can you open up that space for Zach Edey to operate?
Yep.
And all tournament long, they've been they've been finding ways. I give them credit. They've been finding ways to win. They've been finding ways to knock down shots at big moments at different points in their games. But UConn is a different beast.
Yep.
You got not only do they got Clingan that can go toe to toe with them, but they got the guards that can go out and actually go get their shots, that can run good offense, that can knock down shots from the perimeter, even though they're not the best three-point shooting team.
Right.
They're capable of it. And, it's unfortunate. I tweeted out yesterday. I said this current version of Zach Edey with a Carson Edwards.
Yeah.
During that run with Carson, was it 2019?
Yep.
It would have been a problem.
Yeah. No, that's scary.
It would have been a problem. This current Zach Edey with that Carson Edwards back then, it would have been a problem for a lot of teams. So, I give credit to UConn, man. Losing, you lose 5 of your top 8 scorers from last year, and you pretty much replace them with new faces and probably some of the older faces that's been there from last year, and you won back-to-back.
Crazy.
Since what, 07, 06, 07?
Yeah.
With Florida?
With Florida, yeah.
I give them credit, man. They came in with a mission and they got it done.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I think you talk about perimeter defense. I think one thing that jumped out to me was just the fact that Purdue couldn't even get good three-point looks. This is a team that averages a little over 20 three-point attempts per game. And they took 7 last night, and they threw it up. They threw up a graphic during the second half last night. I think Purdue during the tournament averaged like 8.4 or 8.6 3-point makes per game, and last night they made one. I think all season long they've averaged like 8.6, 8.7 threes per game. So basically what they did in the regular season is basically what they've done in the postseason in terms of averages. They've been pretty consistent. But last night, 1 for 7 from 3 and just could not get good looks at all. I mean, there was never really a good look from 3 for Purdue. And so I thought that was huge for UConn, a great point by you. And I think we talked about it yesterday. I think a lot of people have talked about it. But it really is incredible, and especially in this day of college basketball, and especially how UConn has kind of built their roster of there are so many teams out there that have that one go-to player, that one star that really separates from everybody else. And, he's going to be on all the promos and all the posters and everything. And sure, Donovan Clingan is kind of that guy. He's the leader of that team. But they don't have I think somebody said it yesterday. I don't remember who said this. But they did not have a single All-American, first-team All-American, and I don't think they had a first-team All-Conference player on their team because of just how spread out they score and produce. They just have so many guys they can lean on, and you saw that last night. Yeah, Clingan had a fine game. 11 points, 5 rebounds. It certainly wasn't his best game. Certainly didn't look dominant out there, but it was a fine game. But then you've got Stephon Castle, their freshman, who ended up with 15 points, 5 rebounds, was a big part of that defense, that perimeter defense that you were talking about. He's done a great job as a true freshman. Then you got Tristan Newton coming out there, former East Carolina Pirate.
Yeah.
Tristan Newton. He goes out there for 20 points and 7 assists, 5 rebounds. Just an unbelievable game from him. That's a senior out there. I believe final year of eligibility, has been there for a while. Started his career, I think, played 2 seasons at East Carolina and is now in, I believe, his 2nd or 3rd season at UConn. So he's been around.
Now I've heard that the Tigers were in on Tristan.
Yeah. So the Tigers were really in on him. I saw something this morning that said he was a lock to Memphis. And then it fell apart because Penny passed on him. Penny didn't want him. I don't know if I would say it was a lock. But yeah, no, Memphis was in on him. I remember when he hit the transfer portal, and a lot of people were saying, hey, this is a guy Memphis could go after. And then it was, hey, Memphis is going after him. Keep an eye out on him. And then out of nowhere, it was like, hey, he's going to UConn. And that was like, obviously before UConn was winning back-to-back national championships, but UConn was still like really good. Like that was when UConn was kind of building into it, and I remember seeing that and going, Tristan Newton to UConn, like that doesn't. It's kind of surprising to me. And now he's MOP of the national championship game.
Yeah,
so, it's incredible. It really is just incredible. So good for him. You have Cam Spencer goes out for 11. They got now. I understand they brought everybody in the final second, but they have Hassan Diarra, who's averaging 6 points per game, come off the bench and give them 9 points. I mean, that was you talk about another difference maker. It was being able to get 9 points off the bench, where Purdue played 3 guys 12 or more minutes, only 2 guys 15 or more minutes. I mean, UConn only played 1 guy more than 5 minutes off the bench. But he produced 9 points. On the other side,
right,
you only got 2 points off your bench for Purdue. And I understand everyone's going to say, and I've said it too, when you get to the tournament, you cut down that roster. You don't go to the bench as much. You only play 6 or 7 guys. I get that. You've got the long commercial breaks. You've got the long halftime, especially in the national championship game. I get that. I understand that. But when you can look to your bench, even if it's 1 guy, and get 9 points, that's huge. That's massive. I mean, that is so big, especially in a national championship
game. Especially during that point in the game, like in that second half where they got it down to 11.
Mm-hmm.
Samson Johnson fouled out. Clingan was like on his 4th.
Oh, they threw up the graphic, and it was like 6 guys in foul trouble for UConn.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here like, okay, so they probably, like, if Hurley got another big on the bench, he probably going to throw him in the game just to kind of get some size, just kind of eat up some more clock. No, Hurley Hurley said, "No, I'm not throwing another big in there. I'm going to size down. We're going to go small ball."
So they do 2 or more fouls when they throw those graphics up. So UConn finished last night with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys with 2 or more fouls. And that was like early in the second half when they threw that graphic up, and it was like, oh my goodness. Because I remember one of my friends going, "Well, this one might not be over. Look at all that foul trouble."
That's what initially. That was my thought process, because I'm like, okay,
I was like, oh man.
I say they're gonna space. They're gonna find a way to space this floor, get it to Zach Edey, and they're just gonna pummel them into foul.
Crazy.
But they couldn't make shots.
Yeah, and I mean, UConn looked unbelievable, and now I feel like a broken record saying it over and over and over again. But UConn has covered every single game the past 2 NCAA tournaments, which is just unbelievable. I understand they've won back-to-back, so that means they've won every game, and that's part of covering, is you got to win all those games. But to be able to go out there and cover these spreads, and especially early in the tournament, and really most of the tournament, Zach, we were seeing double-digit spread. Heck, they were in the Final Four game against Alabama, and the spread was like 12.5. And they go out there and cover it. I mean, it's incredible what they did this year. It's incredible what they did last year. And, Zach, of course, in any sport, what does the day after mean for that sport? Means you got, especially in college sports, you got to throw out a way too early top 25.
Oh, you got to have
every time. You also have to already go out and put out odds for next year's national championship.
I did see that yesterday.
So, Zach, which would you like first? The way too early top 25 or the way too early odds to win the national championship?
Let's do the odds.
All right, perfect. Coming in with the best odds next year, I also believe I have not. We'll do the way too early top 25 together, because I have no idea who's on the way too early top 25. But I do know that Duke is number 1 in the way too early top 25, bringing in Cooper Flagg, a couple other 5-star freshmen, hopefully bringing back some guys from this year's team. They have the best odds to win the national championship next season at plus 1,000. Would you care to guess who has the second best odds?
North Carolina.
Incorrect.
Duke.
Incorrect. Duke has the best odds. What are you throwing Duke out for?
I thought Duke didn't have the best odds.
No, Duke has the best odds at plus 1,000.
My mistake.
1. It's okay.
My mistake.
Just be better.
Just be better. Let's see. Alabama?
Incorrect. UConn, the team that just won back-to-back national champions, has the second best odds for a three-peat, Zach. A three-peat. I love it.
I need to see more, because they're about to lose a lot of guys.
They are.
So I need to see before I even get to that point. Let me. I just want to see who Hurley's going to bring in.
Plus 1,200 for UConn. Kansas with the third best odds, plus 1,400. North Carolina also plus 1,400, so they're right there. Houston plus 1,600. Arizona plus 1,600. Alabama plus 1,600. Baylor plus 1,800. Kentucky, with everything swirling around Kentucky. Cal has yet to be officially announced as the head basketball coach for Arkansas, but all indications are pointing that he will, in fact, do that. We don't know what's going to happen with that incoming class, but it is a great incoming class of freshmen. Their roster at Kentucky's already a mess because of the transfer portal, but they have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th best odds, and then rounding out the top 10 at plus 2,200, Iowa State. Let's see if we can find Memphis on here. Ole Miss, way down the list at plus. Man, that's plus 12,000. See, I was saying 12,000 earlier. That was just 1,200. Excuse me, I'm an idiot. But Ole Miss way down the line at plus 12,000. I'm still not seeing the Tigers. Does not look like, unless I missed them, it does not look like the Tigers are listed with odds to win the national championship.
And I'm fine with that.
Huh.
I am all right.
Huh. Interesting.
Nope,
I lied. they're way up there. Not way up there, but they're in decent shape. Plus 9,000. So they're in front of Ole Miss. They're in front of, let's see who the teams are. They're in front of Texas A&M, Xavier, LSU, Kansas State, Clemson, Oregon. So that's interesting. Plus 9,000. You going to throw anything on it, Zach?
No.
I didn't think so. All right, way too early, top 25. Let's get through this real quick before we have to get to a break. Duke, number 1 with that class coming in. Cooper Flagg, obviously the big name. They'll get a lot of hype. Number 2, Gonzaga. They're expected to bring back a couple of guys, actually a good amount of guys from this year's team. So a lot of expectations for them. Kansas, number 3. UConn, the back-to-back champs. They debut in the way too early top 25 at number 4. Iowa State, number 5. Purdue, number 6, with the post-Zach Edey era starting at Purdue. Houston, number 7. Arizona, 8. Tennessee, number 9. The Baylor Bears, number 10. So that's the top 10 on ESPN for their way too early top 25. Interesting, Kentucky, number 23 in here. Obviously, they have the projected starting lineup of guys that haven't left the transfer portal yet and with the incoming freshmen. And it does say this is a complete shot in the dark. We don't know who's going to be the coach after John Calipari. We don't know anything, basically. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, I think kind of stupid to put these things out this early. But it's fun. It gets engagement. It gets clicks. So that's what it's all about. But let's go ahead and get to a quick break. And when we come back, we're getting down the stretch last week in the NBA. So some interesting games, interesting matchups in the NBA. We'll talk about that next on Wolo and Friends.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town, open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garvin, the owner, created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Rack them up on 6 pool tables. Coldest beer in town, grab you a pool stick and get you some good bar grub. 100% Angus burgers, big and moist chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. with long neck domestics, 225 Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRIEND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Is your home screaming for an upgrade? Listen closely, because Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing is about to make your day. First up, say goodbye to cold showers and hello to endless hot water with our tankless water heater upgrade. Not only does it save space and energy, but it also keeps the hot water flowing exactly when you need it. And here's the kicker. Switch from your old tank to a sleek, efficient tankless water heater now, and Choate's will hand you a $500 credit. Yep, you heard that right. $500 back in your pocket. But wait, there's more. Clogged drains are a hassle no homeowner wants to deal with. With Choate's special offer, get your drains cleared for just $93, or it's absolutely free. That's our guarantee to make it drain or you don't pay a dime. So why wait? Call Choates today at 347-8086 or visit us online at choateshvac.com. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Well, I hate to disappoint everybody, but I am not the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin. He will be back later this week. I'm Brian Dacus, Zach Boyd with me as we're filling in on Wolo and Friends today. We spent a lot of time in the first segment talking about the national championship game last night. A little interested that, and I don't know. One thing I hate about myself is I can't remember anything, which is a shame.
From last night?
No, I can remember things from last night. Yeah, I can remember things from last night. But my point being, I don't remember if the national championship game was on TBS last year. I don't know if it was or not. But I thought I thought it was kind of weird that it was on TBS. Maybe it's always on TBS, and I just don't know. But that does give them the opportunity to have a 2-hour pregame show for it on TBS, kind of leading into it with Jay Ride and that crew for CBS sitting there right behind the, or I guess in front of the court, and it was a good scene. I didn't watch any of the pregame show, but 2 hours seems a little excessive. But hey, go crazy.
And sit there and filibuster the entire time.
I guess for 2 hours,
2 hours.
More than 2 hours, Zach, because we'll say 2 hours and like 10 minutes because they go for 2 hours and then you get a couple minutes there like right when the game starts. And then, we've got it for the national championship game. We got to spend like 15 minutes doing the starting lineups for both teams because, it's the national championship game. Good for them. I'm not knocking it. Glad that they get it. Do we find anything on?
It's their prerogative. I'm still looking. I'm trying to figure out what time of the game. I think it was on CBS.
I want to say it was.
I want to say it was on CBS.
So I don't know what, that whole reasoning thing. I don't know. But it was cool. I didn't mind it being on TBS or even being at 8:20. I thought that was fine. I know a lot of people had issues with that.
In the past, I used to not like it because I'm like, man, like why you got to put it on TBS? Like not everybody has TBS, True TV,
and then you want to throw it on so late. I mean, but. I don't think it's that bad anymore. And now I think, that's the thing. I'll give, TNT, TBS, I'll give them credit because they have now done with Max where you can get, a Max subscription to where you can watch all of the live sports on TNT and TBS. And so, for the TNT NBA games, got it. The national championship last night on TBS, got it. And I think right now, they're in a beta. So I think if as long as you have a Max subscription, I think you can watch that stuff. Yeah. I think it's part of it right now. I think down the line it's going to be an add-on, but right now I think it's all together. So
so the game was on CBS
last year.
Yes, it was at CBS.
Interesting.
Energy Stadium in Houston.
That's right. So interesting, but I guess that's their thing. Whatever. In the NBA, we're winding down. Hard to believe, Zach, that it is the final week of the regular season. Next week we'll be talking playoff basketball, and we've got all the teams set for both the East and the West. We just do not know what seeds they'll be in. Right now, in the East, you've got. Honestly, in both conferences, it's wild. But in the East, you've got the Bucks right now in the 2 slot, 15 games behind the Boston. You want to talk about how dominant the Boston Celtics have been this year. It's the gap between first and second place. 15 games? That's incredible. Those two teams played tonight. And one of my buddies last night is a big Milwaukee Bucks fan. He was saying, well, maybe tomorrow night they'll rest all their guys because because they've got the 1 seed locked up, and they 15 games. That's not going to just go away in this week. Maybe you're right. I don't know. But the Bucks certainly need to start winning, because right behind them, the Magic, they're only a game back of the Bucks. So are the Knicks.
The rebuilding Orlando Magic.
Let's talk about that for a second, Zach. I mean, what Orlando has done these last couple of seasons has been remarkable. I mean, from being in the complete dumpster of the NBA to just going out, having a couple of successful drafts, and now being a 3 seed with a shot to get up to the 2 seed, or, I mean, you could fall down to the 4, but you're in that mix of 2, 3, 4. That's incredible.
Yeah, and they have a plethora of bigs, and in my mind I'm thinking to myself, like, man, they got to cash in and flip.
Yeah.
They got, in my mind I'm just sitting like that. They gotta kind of like consolidate some of these assets, because they got Markelle Fultz, Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony. It's like something got to give here.
Yeah.
But they somehow made it work. So who's the head coach of the Magic? I know his name. I see his face.
It's just blanking on you for a second.
I just blank.
Jamal Mosley.
Yeah, Jamal Mosley. Like, shout out to him.
I
man.
mean, he's done a fantastic job. He really has. But did you expect Paolo to be this good, this fast?
Yes.
I hoped. I don't know if I guess I believed it, but there were a lot of people that on draft night were shocked when he went first, right?
No.
He went second.
Well, yeah, he went first.
Yeah.
But he went first, but the whole conversation was, Chet is going home.
Because that was the draft where it was Chet, all draft cycle. And then like
Jabari
an
came in.
hour, then that's absolutely right. And then like 30 minutes to an hour before the draft started, Woj tweeted out and was like, I think Paolo's going to go first. And everyone was like, no chance. And then sure enough, he went first.
He was easily the best player out of the two, the top, in the top 3. Like, it just didn't make sense at the time. Like, you was watching that tournament run from Duke, and you just thinking to yourself, like, no, Paolo is definitely not going number 1.
Right.
It's like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. But Paolo's great. And I remember, like, after that, everyone was like, there's no way. I mean, Chet easily goes in front of him. Jabari easily goes in front of him. Keegan Murray was also in that draft. There were some people like Keegan Murray should have gone in front of him. Why do you take Paolo number 1? And Chet's been great. Chet was injured his first year, but he's been great this year. Jabari's been fine. But Paolo Banchero turning into the leader, basically, of that Magic team this fast. I mean, he's their leading scorer right now, averaging over 20 points a game, 22.6 points per game, and 6.8 rebounds and 5.3 assists. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. And so it's really fun. And I'll be honest, like, I think we talked about this before, Zach, but like, I am not in any way like a Duke hater. Like, I know, like, it's very weird when it comes to Duke. Like, it's very popular to hate Duke. Like, unless you live in the state of North Carolina, you're supposed to hate Duke with like all of your heart. I actually like Duke. Like, I grew up like enamored by Duke and all of the players that they had and Coach K. Like, I loved Duke growing up. And I mean, knock me. When I was growing up, they had Jason Tatum, Kyrie Irving, Brandon Ingram. Like, sue me that I like Duke.
So I'm sorry. Like, I like their players, the collection of players that they have assembled.
They've got one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach of all time, on their bench. Yeah, it was sue me, whatever. And like, I even remember like in 5th grade, we had like some like project that we were supposed to like do. And I did mine like on Duke basketball or something like that. Like, I like Duke. And so I loved Paolo when he was there. I was like, this guy's really good. And then people were like, well, his size, he's kind of a, because I don't know if you remember, people wanted to make him out to be a tweener. They were like, what's he going to do in the NBA? I mean, he's too small to be a big. He's not good enough to be a wing. Like, what's he going to do? And I was
Put that man on the perimeter and let him handle the ball.
Like, this guy's talented. Like, this guy can play.
What are you doing?
And so no, he's been really good, and this Orlando Magic team has been a surprise. I don't think many people I remember earlier in the afternoons we talked to Keith Smith, who works with Spot Track, and he has a podcast that he does. He's great follow on Twitter for the NBA. And like before the season, I asked him, I was like, who's going to be the surprise team? Like who? And he listed off a couple teams. I don't even remember what teams he said. And I was like, what about the Orlando Magic? Like, what do you think they could do? He was like, oh, keep an eye on the Orlando Magic. I was like, really? He was like, yeah, man, they're gonna be good. He's like, I don't know if I'm saying like, top 5 or 6, but like they're certainly gonna be like in the mix of play-in or even just getting a playoff spot.
And also, I'm looking at their books. Funny enough, I'm on Spot Track now.
Love that. Shout out Spot Track.
There's some big money contracts that's about to come off their books this summer, and they could be a real player.
Love that. That's great.
If a star player wants to get up out of here, out of their situation.
Does LeBron want to take his talents back to not South Beach, but
Central Beach?
Central Beach. There you go.
So like Central Florida.
I'm taking my talents to Central
Take his talents to
Beach.
Disney.
Yeah, I'm taking my talents to Disney. That's right.
But I mean, like, so Jonathan Isaac next season, it's a non-guaranteed deal.
Yeah.
And he's been dealing with injury, so I could see them like not doing.
Yeah.
Right. Markelle Fultz, $17 million off the books next season. Gary Harris, $13 million off the books next season. Joe Ingles got $11 million next season, and it's a club option. They could just decline that. I mean, like, I'm not a math person off the top of my head.
Right, I'm not either.
But that's like close to like $40 million available next season.
No, that's the Magic are, and if they can continue, doing that's, it's going to be really impressive. And I mean, looking at, honestly, wow. I mean, looking at the top 5 of that draft. So obviously, as we know, with any sports league, the worst teams get the high picks, but we know in the NBA lottery, right. You get it. Look at where the Magic are right now. They have the first pick in that draft. They're now 3rd in the Eastern Conference, only a game back of the 2nd seed. Thunder, they are 1 game back of first place and have been in the first place mix in the Western Conference all season long. The Rockets, even though they were eliminated this year, they were competitive. They've done some nice things through the draft and through free agency.
They gave the Warriors a scare for a little bit.
They could be a team to keep an eye on next year. And then 4th, you've got the Kings. Kings have been really good these last couple of years.
Yeah,
and Murray, are still there.
And Murray's been a sharpshooter.
He sure has. He's been really good. And I found out like midway through the season that whenever he makes a shot, everybody in the arena goes, Keegan Murray. And I was like, interesting. I don't know if I like that or not. But
the announcer kicks it off, and then the fans,
and then everyone fills in. And then of course, rounding out the top 5, the Detroit Pistons.
They got to figure something out, man.
I mean, yeah, but like, how? I mean, that's what they did last year, is we're going to figure this out. We're going to bring in a great coach, and he's going to turn things around, and they're still awful. I mean, I understand, give him time. I hope he gets time. But it is bad, and they have good players. Cade Cunningham is an extremely talented player. He just gets injured fairly often. Jalen Duren is a really good player. And he's been good, but this team just does not work. I mean, they got to figure it out, and I don't know how you figure it out. But it's going to be fun. We didn't get through really a lot. East is wild. West is wild. You've got 3 teams fighting for first place in the West, all a game off of a game or less off of first place. So it's going to be a lot of fun this week, a lot of games. Grizzlies in action tonight against the Spurs. We might talk about that a little bit on the other side, but we need to get to a break. You're listening to Wolo and Friends.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for unlimited range time, free gun rentals with purchase of ammo, and members lounge access. Top Gun, 2770 Witten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always shoot with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them.
With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise.
No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
If you own a business, you know Luttrell Belting keeps you moving. Luttrell has cost-effective belts, conveyor components, and 24/7 on-site service to keep you operating smoothly. Text are just a phone call away at 800-441-8946 or online at LuttrellBelting.com. Luttrell's Memphis plant stocks belting in nearly every size and finish, and if they don't have it, they'll make it. From ordering to selection, fabrication, and installation, your Luttrell sales rep is there for you. Luttrell Belting keeps you moving.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
I say this all the time, Zach, but I love Dave's rejoin music. I mean, it gets me fired up in the mornings. He's got some good songs. I think I like everybody. I mean, we've got some really good rejoin songs all day.
Is that your type of crowd? Like,
I'll be honest, Zach. I have a very wide range of music that I listen to. So, yes, but no. Like, there's good music. And I'm not going to judge if it's, old or, like, country or, anything. I used to hate country music. I used to would not listen to country. And then you, find, a couple artists that, are good. And now you're like, hey, I like this type of music. So, you just got to cast a wide net there, Zach. Cast a wide net. The Grizzlies, they're in action tonight at home. I really like, I kind of like how this season has how the end of the season has played out, where your last 4 games, 3 of them are at home, and only one of them is on the road. That one being against the Cavs, which I just saw on Twitter. CavsNation.com wrote a story this morning that says, here's the headline: Report, J.B. Bickerstaff was almost fired earlier this season. Could be coaching for his job in playoffs. Which is kind of surprising to me. The Cavs have been really good. I understand they're, last year they were 2-3. This year they're 5th. So, I understand that that's certainly a step back. But I think Cavs have been good. They've been dealing with injuries a lot this season.
That's the biggest thing that I took away from the Cavs. Mobley missed a lot of time. Allen's missed a lot of time. Same way with Donovan missed a lot of time.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell's missed a ton of time. Let's see. One NBA executive alleges that the Cleveland Cavaliers could opt to part ways with head coach J.B. Bickerstaff if the team doesn't reach the Eastern Conference Finals this year, and claims that the Cavaliers were close to firing Bickerstaff earlier this season. Here's the quote. JB could get fired if the Cavs don't make it to the conference finals, the NBA exec told HoopsWire. He was almost fired earlier in the season before the team got its act together. There are people inside that organization who can't fathom how a team with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland is so poor at scoring the ball. JB is 100% on the hot seat, and he knows it. I don't know if I buy that.
Come on, man.
I don't know if I buy that. Seems like clickbait.
Like the coaching, the NBA coaching is very volatile, man.
Very.
It's very like how in the world a coach is supposed to build a culture, instill instill and empower his players when he doesn't have time to do that.
Right.
Like I get it. Like Nick Nurse was an anomaly. Like he was an anomaly. Not every first year coach is gonna win a championship with a tailor-made, ready playoff roster.
Exactly.
So it's like that. I don't understand this personally. Like I get it. Like maybe you want if it doesn't fit your team philosophy in a sense. But you got to give these guys time to kind of like see if they can make an improvement onto next season.
Yeah.
Like, they're not like the Cavs are not that far off.
When you look at their top 4 scorers, Donovan Mitchell, 53 games this season. Darius Garland, 55 games this season. Jared Allen's been pretty healthy, 74 games this season. Evan Mobley, 47. So, I mean, you've got 3 of your top 4 scorers have played 55 games or less. I mean, that's tough. You know, that kind of makes it hard.
We expect the coach to fill in that gap and win a lot of games while their star players are out.
You know, those guys, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, that people inside the organization can't fathom that you can't score with those guys when they've played less than 55 games. Whatever. I mentioned the Grizzlies in action tonight against the Spurs at home. They announced about an hour ago they've signed Xavier Simpson to a second 10-day contract and Jack White to a 10-day contract. So Jack White, a new name to the roster. I believe Greg and Eli were talking about earlier. This will be the 33rd player a part of this roster, which is just incredible and really is a reflection on how this season has gone. I thought, handful of years back, I think I was in high school when this happened, which is not that long ago, where the Grizzlies had all sorts of injuries. Mike Conley was out most of the season. I think Marc Gasol was out most of the season. And they ended up having like 28, 29 guys on the roster through 10 days and all that stuff. I thought that was a ton. And I thought that would never happen again. Now we're at 33 players, and I'm guessing, you know, these will be the last with only 4 games left remaining. But I know there's going to be a lot of excitement now with these games winding down of the offseason. Now that the college basketball season is complete, that means it's full draft time. Get out the books and start scouting these players. So that will be really fun. I hope it's a fun game tonight. Kind of hope they lose. I don't know if that's bad to say, but I kind of hope that
we want them to be competitive in this game.
And then lose at the end, right?
I'm not saying that last part.
Okay. Well, I'll say it. Lose at the end.
If they're gonna lose, let them lose organically. Like that's
yes. I agree with that. Fun story though. Speaking of the Grizzlies, Santi Aldama tweeted out last night, and I always learn this. It's one of those things that I feel like I relearn for the past 2 seasons, and maybe this time I won't have to because he's done now, I think. Santi Aldama posted this last night. First talked about this when we met 5 years ago. Worked every single day after that to get there. Now you are a national champion. Proud of you, brother. That is what Santi Aldama posted last night about Cam Spencer.
Yeah.
For UConn. They were teammates back at Loyola Marymount. And now Santi Aldama in the NBA with the Grizzlies, which is huge, and Cam Spencer, a national champion, and who knows, maybe he gets some buzz, maybe a second-round guy, a undrafted free agent, or I don't know what his eligibility looks like. Maybe he returns for another year at UConn. But that was a fun storyline last night. A little bit of a Memphis tie there with Santi and Cam Spencer. going back to kind of the NBA standings, what team do you think wins or gets the first place in the Western Conference? You got the Timberwolves and the Nuggets in a tie right now, and then Oklahoma City only a game back. Currently slotted in third, but only, like I said, a game back of first place.
Nuggets.
Really? Kind of chalk.
Nuggets. To me, they're the better team. Even though the Timberwolves have been a really good team in the regular season, I just got questions about them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I that's what everybody says. Is you got questions about them and can they win in the playoffs? Let's see. The Nuggets, their last 4 games at Utah, home against Minnesota tomorrow night. That's going to be a massive game. At San Antonio, at Memphis. That's a very favorable schedule for Denver. I mean, that's huge. On the other side, Minnesota, home tonight against Washington, on the road against Denver, home against Atlanta, home against Phoenix. Tougher. I mean, I think Denver ends up winning this, getting the first seed and going into the playoffs. I think it'll be Denver, Minnesota, OKC. But still questions to be answered behind that. Clippers in 4th, but they're only 2 games ahead of the Mavericks. Mavericks only 2 games ahead of the Suns. Right now, Suns and Pelicans right there. I mean, we could be talking about Kevin Durant and his team of stars in the play-in, LeBron James in the play-in, and Steph Curry and the dynasty of the Golden State Warriors, all playing for those 3 teams playing for 2 spots in the play-in. And I think that would be great television for play-ins. In terms of like getting as many eyes on these play-in games as possible, those 3 teams fighting for 2 spots would be fantastic, I think.
I mean, the star power in the play-in on the Western side of things, you can't beat it. It's not ideal because you kind of want them in a 7-game series.
Well, and that's the thing is that's why I've heard so many people say is, oh, the NBA executives are just foaming at the mouth to get a matchup of the Golden State Warriors and the LA Lakers in a win-or-go-home game.
Right.
Well, that's great for that night, but then that means one of those teams is done for the season.
Exactly.
And you don't get them anymore. So you're going to like it that one night, but then after that, you're going to hate it.
So in reality, you want the Lakers to leapfrog the Kings so that the Kings and the Warriors are going to face. And then the winner of the Lakers, Pelicans, and the Suns, whoever come out of those 2 gets to.
Well, I think you hope that the Suns get the 6th seed. So then you get Booker, KD, those guys in a 7-game series regardless. And then you can hope that Lakers win that first game, Warriors win that first game, and then they're matched up for a win or go home for the 7th seed. I think that's how you play it out.
Right.
So
Lakers
then you get 2 games.
Lakers get the 7, and then the Warriors play. I guess the Pelicans for number 8.
Yeah. So you get Lakers, Pelicans, and then Kings and Warriors. I think that's and then you get at least 2 games for both those. I think that's how you want to play it. Well, it should be a really fun week as we wind in the regular season, kind of see how this all shakes out and what we'll get. Wembanyama should play tonight, so that will be a fun attraction for fans that go out there and catch this game tonight. But that's